Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
And I'm Satan.
Don't forget you can download the news as a podcast if you're out and about by searching for WhatCulture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. But coming up today, all the latest after last night's episode of WWE NXT and of course AEW Dynamite.
I'm going to tell you all about Corey Graves and his crap apology.
And further developments with the Wednesday Night War ratings. This is the news.
Let's do a little chit chat about AEW. First of all, let's kick that thing off. Spoilers. There's going to be spoilers all over this thing. Spoilers everywhere. If you haven't seen the shows, you're probably going to want to mute it until my hand goes down. I'm probably not going to maintain this for 2 segments because it's really quite sore once all the blood departs it. But anyway, let's kick things off. Let's talk about the biggest thing. Chris Jericho defended his AEW World Championship in the main event against Scorpio Sky. Successful victory. Of course, all victories are successful, Andy, you moron. After that is what we really want to talk about, folks. Jon Moxley came out in the crowd, came out, stood at the stairs, they kind of looked at each other, did the NXT thing where you stare at each other and you have a match graphic ready and waiting to go. So that looks very much like it's going to be the next title fight. We don't know that for sure, but that is very much the insinuation coming out of that. As far as Jon Moxley goes, we got Joey Janela showing up at a GCW event and challenging Moxley for next week, so we could get a repeat of that Fyter Fest match. We also got some other bits and pieces as well. We saw, if I'm being fair, quite a flat debut for the Butcher and the Blade, managed by Ali. They attacked Cody after his win over jobber Matt Nix. And we also got MJF, the Scourge of Cody, defeating Hangman Page with the help of Big Bloody Wardlow to win the Dynamite Diamond Ring, that $45,000 diamond ring. He's going to be making all kinds of dudes kiss that ring as time progresses. Not my favourite episode of Dynamite so far, but certainly quite a lot to unpack.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I've been wanting to do that for ages. Yeah, it was... keep it up. It was... I don't know whether I just built this up so much in my mind, because when we did the preview yesterday, there was so many good things. People were comparing it to sort of like a pay-per-view level TV show. I just said it reminded me of sort of old school Attitude Era TV shows. Titles on the line, ridiculous gimmicks up for, you know, whatever.
Celebration.
Big returns. The highlight for me was unquestionably Le Celebration.
It was great.
Pour le champion.
Yeah.
Chris Jericho just...
Who now has his own line of bubbly.
Who's got his own line of bubbly.
After finding, what was it? We found these grapes on the slopes of Tibetan mountains.
Nepal or something, yeah.
What are you on about?
It is the WhatCulture Christmas party in 2 weeks. Can we get some?
Yes, we absolutely can.
Yeah, but all in all, it was a fine episode of AEW. I think the problem was I'd built it up a little bit too much in my mind. But
yeah, it was all like there was some stuff that didn't work. There was a lot of stuff that did. The Chris Jericho stuff that bookended it was great. Pac versus Kenny was great.
Yeah.
Certainly a lot to enjoy, but perhaps not the strongest episode so far.
And Moxley versus Jericho coming out the back of it, it's going to be.
Right. Can you do the hand thing? Because it's
absolutely
sore as hell.
Shall we move on to NXT spoilers now?
Let's do it.
A really, really enjoyable episode of NXT last night. Now, we did have Bobby Fish replaced in the tag team titles match by Roderick Strong. So it was Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong versus Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic. Keith Lee yeeted Adam Cole into about the 4th row of the crowd at one point, which was incredible.
GIF of the night. Maybe the month. Maybe the year.
It's unbelievable. Michael Hamflett has just got back from being in America.
Chirac.
And basically that personifies, as he's tweeted, how he feels today being back at work. But the Undisputed Era using the sort of, I was going to say wild card rule then. That's not what I mean. What do I mean?
Freebird
rule.
There you go.
Retained their tag team titles, as did Lio Rush. He had a really good match against Akira Tozawa, although we kind of knew where it was going there. Lio Rush retaining his NXT Cruiserweight Championship. If you're worried about Bobby Fish, apparently PW Insider says that Bobby Fish was pulled from the tag match because officials were, quote, concerned he'd been hurt or knocked for a loop, but he was walking around backstage after the show and seemed to be okay. And in the main event of the evening, we got Finn Balor versus Tommaso Ciampa. Now, there was a finish in this match, but this was by no means the end of the feud between these two. It was just a taster of the brilliant stuff we're going to be getting between these two, and probably Adam Cole, because he involved himself in it towards the end, allowing Finn Balor to nail Tommaso Ciampa with 1916 to win the match. But post-match, as Adam Cole and Finn Balor stood over the defeated Ciampa, Finn Balor hit that brilliant overhead Pele kick thing that he does on Adam Cole. So it seems that they are setting up a triple threat match for the NXT Championship, which is amazing.
Takeover main event. You know my opinions on triple threat matches. I've said them about 700 times on videos lately. But yeah, sounds like a red hot setup for what should be a takeover main event, really.
All in all, good stuff. Dakota Kai also got DQ'd using the Tegan Nox's knee brace in a match against Candice LeRae, but Rhea Ripley came down to make the save post-match, and Rhea Ripley is so over. Chants for her were deafening during a segment with Shayna Baszler. Looks like that's what they're going to be heading towards, Baszler versus Rhea Ripley. And I sense that maybe she could be the one to take the title off Baszler before she moves up to the main roster.
She's the one for me, like.
Absolutely. Right. Let's move on.
Let's get these spoilers gone. They're done. You can,
Welcome back if you've just been...
exactly. If you've just done a little bit of skipping. Corey Graves, let's talk about this Mauro Ranallo situation. Mauro was obviously not present on last night's NXT, replaced by Tom Phillips. I don't think that counts as a spoiler, as we reported it yesterday.
No!
But anyway, Corey Graves has apologized to Mauro Ranallo. He did it on his podcast, but he didn't apologize for what had happened. He didn't apologize for what he said and what he did, really. He apologized for people being upset by it, which
I hate these apologies.
The worst apology of all time, but it's not the worst, but it's lame. Take responsibility, man. What's also lame is that he did it on his podcast, which I think might be behind a paywall, maybe? Is it? Someone let me know. Rather than doing it on Twitter, which is where he started the thing.
The only podcast that should do apologies is the WhatCulture Wrestling podcast.
There we go, baby, and we will apologise for stuff.
Content, mainly.
But Pro Wrestling Sheet have a new report out regarding this thing. They claim that Corey Graves saw his tweets criticising Mauro Ranallo as part of the brand warfare build for Survivor Series, and they were done in a joking manner. Now, that's all well and good, but when you have a guy who suffers from rather debilitating mental health problems, and things like that aren't there to be poked and prodded at. That's not something you use to generate heat, particularly when these things are, he suffers them to an extent that it's going to force him to miss work like it has here. You can say maybe Corey Graves, he wouldn't have known, but how could he not have known? Mauro Ranallo has a documentary on this damn thing. Everyone knows about it. I think you have to be a little more goddamn careful than Mr. Corey Graves was.
Yeah, and you're completely right, and that should be the be-all and end-all of it. But just as a little addition, I don't want to hear my commentary teams bickering, arguing, and putting over their brand. Just talk about what's happening in the ring from the professionals who are paid to wrestle to do that. And, this is really starting to annoy me now.
Yeah.
Because, as I've said before, if whatever your opinions on Mauro Ranallo, and we talk about him ourselves, but we'd never directly go to him and be like, you absolutely suck, especially considering, as you mentioned, his history of problems. The fact he does it on his podcast, the fact he does it behind a paywall, but worst of all, the fact he doesn't even say sorry. That's not saying sorry. That's like punching someone in the face and saying, sorry, your face is bleeding. I'm sorry you bruise easily or something.
Yeah, it's really crap stuff. I really hope this is the end we hear of it. I really hope Mauro's back on TV. I really hope him and Corey shake hands and make up, and Mr. Graves can stop being such a fanny, because that's what he's been recently.
Hit the nail on the head there.
He's just a fud of a man.
Right, let's move on and talk a little bit more about NXT and AEW Dynamite. Don't worry, no spoilers here though, but some really good news. If, a bit like me, you get concerned by the fact that there's this war over the ratings where people are consistently saying, your show sucks and my show's better, rather than both these shows are objectively amazing. They're some of the best things in wrestling right now, and we should just be celebrating the fact that they're both great. So, with that in mind, we talk every single week about ratings numbers and what have you, and we no doubt we'll talk about them a little bit more. Some really good news coming out from Dave Meltzer of Wrestling Observer Radio, saying that DVR numbers for NXT and AEW Dynamite are, quote, shockingly good, which means a lot more people are watching Wednesday Night Wrestling than the next day ratings indicate.
This is very good.
It's could be over easily 2 million people watching wrestling every Wednesday night.
Yeah, you'd think so. And one of the key narratives when we talk about wrestling, ratings and so forth, is that more people are watching on DVR these days in increasing numbers and all this stuff, and that the ratings maybe aren't as significant as they used to be. So hearing stuff like this is very encouraging. I would love if there was a way of finding out how many people are watching, say, AEW on Fight every week. There probably is a way, it's just not disclosed. I would love to know how many people are watching NXT on the network the next day, and I'd love to see the UK viewing figures for Dynamite as well. Currently NXT isn't available on UK TV, which is a bit of a pain in the ass. But
how do we watch it?
How do we watch
NXT?
Skills.
Let's move forward. Let's skip past it.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, great news this.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Very encouraged to hear it. And I think, that easily that number will be well over 2 million.
Right.
Tally everything in.
Yeah, exactly. Right, let's move on to your
per
Twitter.
show between them.
People
will get confused if
you
we
never
don't
know.
say that.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Just wrestling's great right now.
It's
Thursday's the best day to be a wrestling fan if you live in the UK.
What the hell did we do on Thursdays before all this?
Wear pink.
What did we do?
Is that one? I don't know.
Is
that Mean Girl? I don't know.
I have no idea, mate.
Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions. At WhatCulture WWE, of course, if you want to get in touch with us. Shout out to Ujwal Bahare. I've probably butchered that name, but thank you for your question anyway. Who says, with the betrayal of Lana, can we see return of Aiden English and a revival of Rusev Day? The story writes itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think the ship has sailed for Rusev Day, unfortunately. I think, it was a good thing for a very, very long time, but they never once capitalized on it. And unfortunately,
they did on that Christmas one when no one watches.
A year later. Like literally a year later. It's crazy. I just think its time has come and gone, man, as much as I love that whole angle. Besides, how could Rusev ever forgive Aiden English from one night in Milwaukee?
Indeed, that was great.
The original Rusev cucker, Aiden English.
Yeah. I will always hold a candle for Rusev. Is that the right phrase? Hold a candle? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
No, holding a candle's wrong. I will always hope for more Rusev Day. I'll swear in a sort of WWE.com exclusive, Rusev said, as he was being led away on Raw, you can't arrest me, it's Rusev Day.
Yeah, he
so
did.
I hope one day they can bring it back, because I loved what they did.
It was so
there
good.
was so much good stuff there.
It was so over as well.
And yeah, when your missus dumps you, you need your mates around. That should be the story, even though we've seen what happened in the past there. Liam Pickering says, we can all agree that Seth lost at Twitter this year. But which wrestler do you guys think won Twitter in 2019? Drunk Randy, MJF, or Big Dave Batista and Dana Brooke?
I would say all caps yelling Oni Lorcan for me. Every tweet is an absolute delight. It fits his weird wrestling character to a T, where he's just this intense bald guy who loves the numbers 1 and 2 with partner Danny Burch. Yeah, Oni's up there. Trent and Chuck Taylor are very funny as well. I would absolutely have had Randy Orton in that discussion until he said the N-word on a gaming stream. Other than that, there are a lot of good Twitter users in wrestling as well, to balance.
A late surge from Big Dave Batista and Dana Brooke, which we'll get to in just a second, by the way. Obviously, honourable mention to Becky Lynch, although that was kind of towards the end of last year, really.
Yeah.
She won Twitter. So I'm going to have to give the award to MJF, because he just murders people. I would keep his name out of my mouth.
So would I.
Because I'm scared of what he'd say to me. Right, final question today comes from Marco Stunt's basketball coach. Slight AEW spoilers here. So,
spoiler hand.
Give us a minute. Should Jon Moxley be the one to beat Jericho for the AEW title?
Oh, potentially, but not anytime soon. I think if they're building to this match within the next few months, Jericho should overcome it. I think Jericho should hold the belt for a year, honestly. I don't see how this reign runs out of steam. Everything's gold. Everything's great. The match is really good. Jericho is operating at an incredible level. He's so entertaining at the moment. So maybe Moxley should be, but definitely not now.
No, exactly. I think you should always put your world championship on the hottest guy in the company, and as much as Moxley is hugely over right now, Jericho, as exemplified by last night's AEW Dynamite, is the guy.
And he's got things like Les Champions and a challenge and a celebration. Like
Chris Jericho.
Chris Jericho, a little bit of the bubbly. The thing is, these things are memes and they will run out of steam, because that's what happens with memes and things that catch on. Like the list, it faded away. If he did it on Dynamite next week, it would get a massive pop. But the thing is, even if those things do fade away, he'll just come up with something else.
Yeah.
He's a genius. How the hell, right? Chris Jericho, look at the things he's gotten over. Stupid idiot, the list, wearing a scarf, just saying Le Champion in a French accent. This is nonsense. If any other wrestler, if goddamn Seth, if even Cody or someone else who's really over on Dynamite came out and started going, I am Le Nightmare or something like that, that wouldn't get over. But it's Chris Jericho. Michael Sidgwick yesterday called him the most entertaining man alive, and I'm inclined to agree with that. Apart from Guy Fieri, obviously.
Indeed, of course. Also, go and check out his new image for Talk is Jericho podcast.
Oh my God.
Wow, magnificent. Right, should we move on to today's And Finally?
Let's do it, man.
It's more of an And Finally update after yesterday. You know, we sort of flagged everyone's attention to Big Dave Batista's Twitter account and his ongoing back and forth with Dana Brooke. Well, good news. Our boy has got the digits. So he was going back and forth with Dana Brooke. He mentioned that he had his own gym. Weird flex, but okay. He mentioned he had 2 squat racks in there. He also mentioned, ever done any jiu-jitsu? And Dana Brooke replied, sounds like a date. Also, I'm sure you can teach me a couple of things I can use in the ring. Also, the squat racks too. I'll send you my number via DM. Text me, we can plan something. Our boy has got the digits.
They're gonna be. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah!
It's what happened to are Dana Brooke and Ennis Cantor not a thing anymore? Obviously not, but good for them, man. Good for them. More free love in the free world.
I want to know Dave Batista's statistics from former Titus worldwide statistician Dana Brooke, please.
Oh,
just how big is? Right, let us know your thoughts on all of today's news stories in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Later on today, myself and the Dadley boys will be sitting down to review the Wednesday Night War, of course. Plus, you can let us know your thoughts on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Watch there. Follow both of us. You can follow him at
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for Hail Lucifer.
Ooh.
Satanism.
Follow me at Adam Wilmore. Follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. As I said, my thanks to Andy. Thank you for watching. We will see you soon.
And to be fair to Dana Brooke, with all that flexing she does, she's probably one of the few people who actually lift that big thing he has.